Mr. Secretary.
This is quite a victory for you, I would think. There was some reservation expressed to a $1,000 fine. Can you respond?
Well, look, I think the facts indicate, and the agreement indicates that nothing, that the one violation that we've agreed to today was not done in a way that was knowing or intentional. And I think that they were asking earlier in the hearing about what an appropriate standard would be for this commission to decide about fines, and I think that's certainly a good one. When there's no intent or prior knowledge that a violation was taking place, it's a pretty good reason to impose a fine as opposed to do anything else. So I think it was reasonable and fair under the circumstances. You know, I certainly regret the mistakes I made, but I think this is further indication that the mistakes I made were just that. And they weren't knowing or intentional violations of any law. And I just want one more thing I want to say is that, you know, I love this state, and I appreciate the fact that everybody's trying to do their job here to the best of their ability. And it was an honor for me to serve as Attorney General of the state, and I will be forever grateful to the people of Ohio for giving me that opportunity.
Do you think you paid too high of a price by resigning for the allegations that came before you?
Look, I think that, you know, one step at a time. Today we're talking about what happened here. They found that there was no knowing or intentional violation, and that's really what I came here for. And I think that's a good and accurate resolution of what happened.
The chairman essentially was saying he felt like what happened today with the agreement, you're getting off too lightly. That was his opinion.
You know, sometimes, and I've been on the other side of this table as a prosecutor, briefly as a prosecutor, you know, sometimes there's an awful lot of smoke, and you say, my God, with all this smoke, there must be a fire someplace, and if we just keep looking and keep looking and keep looking, we're going to find it. Well, in this case, there has been a very extensive investigation that's taken place. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of state money has been spent. You saw the phalanx of legal talent and law enforcement talent that was here today, and there are others that have been working on this matter. They have literally looked at every aspect of my life, and my wife's life, and my campaign committee, and the transition committee, and my work in the AG's office. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm glad that this is coming to a resolution.
Does this mark the end of all the cases and issues against you?
You know, I'm with Don. I predict that it's going to rain the rest of the day. That's as much as I can predict about anything. My hope is that at the end of the day, look, I've spent my whole career working in the justice system, and I believe in it, and I believe in the Constitution. I believe that people are entitled to have their day in court and for due process to work, and that when the state wants to do something or take something from somebody, that they have an obligation to actually prove their case. I don't believe that there is a case to prove going forward. So my hope is that will be the end of this.
Your party still has great power in this state. What are people to think about the fact that they hold the office of Attorney General as well as Governor, and would this have been different had Republicans been in those offices?
You know, Julie, I'm really not going to speculate on the past. I'm focused on the future. I actually have a meeting for one of my clients this afternoon, so I'm happy that I can, you know, leave here and go to work, and I'm back working in the justice system, hopefully on behalf of the good guys, which I believe I have my whole career, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not, you know, I'll leave the political discussions to the politicians.
What are your emotional reactions to this today? I mean, you've talked a little bit about the political reaction, but this has obviously been a very intense time for you and your family.
It's been a very difficult and challenging time. I'm very, you know, it's heartbroken about the impact that this has had on my children and on their lives. But you know, my job as a parent now is to show them how somebody deals with a matter of adversity, and that's what I've been trying to do for the last, certainly since May of last year, and hopefully they'll learn a positive lesson from that at the end of the day.
Tony Gutierrez is facing the only criminal charges so far out of this. Was it a mistake to hire him?
I think so, absolutely. I know, and I'm the victim of one of the crimes. I mean, the campaign committee is the victim of really the only crime that he's charged of that's related to his time in my office. My campaign committee is the victim of. So you know, having learned that, and having learned that through the one part of the Inspector General's report that I agreed with, that I found that was, you know, I'm offended and upset, and you know, and feel like his, you know, my trust in him was violated, and I, in hindsight being 20/20, think that my decision to hire him was a bad one.
What about the part in the report that Gutierrez was operating his private business on state time?
Same thing. But it wasn't. That's not part of the criminal charge. I mean, what they said is that he committed the workers' comp violations while he was using the state computer. So certainly I'm upset about that. But more upset about the outright fraud that he committed against the campaign committee. But look, it was a bad decision to hire him. He didn't do a good job. I'm disappointed in how he did. I frankly thought he could have done a lot better than he did, and I'm disappointed. And I, you know, but again, just like, you know, for me, that's for the court to decide.
Where do you go from here? Do you expect that, you know, you'll return to politics at some point, or?
You know, I have been so. Sometimes when you get caught up in the whole culture of politics, and I love politics, as you all know, you miss out on some things in your life. I have had, as horrible and excruciating as this year has been, I have had an incredible time in reacquainting myself with my children and their lives, and working to rebuild my relationship with my spouse, and that's been a real blessing to me. And I can tell you that I'm not going to do anything that's going to interfere with that. I mean, my biggest disappointment today is that we have a softball game and it's raining, and my daughter's supposed to play at 5 o'clock. So my hope is that the front will move through and we'll be playing softball this evening.
So do you plan to run for office ever again?
You know, I plan to focus totally and completely on making up the time I missed with my family.
Just bottom line, we talked about, yeah, hiring might have been a mistake. Did you make mistakes here? And have you paid for them now with today's resolution?
I think that, you know, that I have, through having resigned from the office, because I couldn't do both. I couldn't balance that responsibility with the responsibility of caring for my family. That having left politics, having had these findings, I think that there's been a very, you know, I've been sufficiently and appropriately addressed the mistakes, you know, unintentional, unknowing mistakes that were made by me and by people operating my campaign committee. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.